Greetings, everyone. Good evening. Oh, come on, y'all can do better than that. Good evening. There we go. We know people are going to start trickling in, but we want to reward those who are on time, and we definitely want to get to honoring this special brother we have in front of us. So let's start that way. Let's all give a round of applause for our honoree brother Doug Ruffin Jr. I like to always start these events how Brother Bill would start them. Just taking a deep breath. Let's get present in the moment. We don't take for granted that we were able to wake up this morning and get here today. And although we're here to honor Brother Doug, we always give an honor to our ancestors and those who came before us, and especially God. So before we get started, let's all just breathe. Let's take a moment to just connect with the moment. Forget about what happened before you got here. Forget about the arguments, the bad things. Forget about all that. Let's connect to this moment right now, today, September 17th, 6:47 p.m. We're all here. We're all breathing. We all made it out of our beds this morning, and we all should be thankful for that. No matter how hard it was to get here, no matter how much we struggled to get here, we should just all be thankful that we were able to arrive. So let's just take in a moment. However you observe, I believe in God, so I'm going to open us up in a word of prayer. And however you worship, whatever, this is the time, this is the moment to take time to do that. Because I know for me, I feel God present in myself right now. I feel Brother Bill present in me right now. It's just a beautiful moment. So as we pray, Father God, first we want to come to you saying thank you. Thank you for allowing us to wake up this morning, for allowing us to be here in your presence one more time. We don't take for granted these opportunities you have given us to gather with one another, to celebrate one another, to continue to uplift one another. I ask that you come into this room right now, sit next to all of us, sit in all of us, be with all of us, because we need you. And all the things we do, we just want to honor you. And all the things we say, we want to honor you. Let this celebration be becoming of who you are in all of us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. So, greetings everybody. My name is Brother Emmanuel Rafford. I'll be emceeing this event tonight. As you know, this event was created by Brother William Bill Peoples, who has transitioned. Also, his wife, his queen, Sister Cynthia, has transitioned as well. But we continue his legacy and hold these events. But we never do these events without having at least a word from Brother Bill. Brother Bill will always be a part of these events. So every year when we do this, we open with Brother Bill speaking. So if you guys give me a moment, I'm going to plug up the TV and we're going to actually hear from, this video is actually from the last event Brother Bill was at, where we actually got to honor him, which is still one of the greatest honors of my life, that before he transitioned, we got to honor him as the person of the year. If you give me a few moments, we're going to hear from Brother Bill. After that, I'll come back and do our opening.
A little history on the origin of these thoughts. I've always been involved in the affairs of not just my personal life, but my family, immediate family, and extended family. To show you the graphic of some of the things that I've been going through. It was 1 year difference between me and Emmett Till. And we all remember that picture. He was 15, I was 15, he was 14. So we were definitely contemporaries. So it's been said that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And a lot of times we dilute our own ability by thinking that we can't, because we've been programmed to think that we can. And a lot of times we're not even aware of the things that we have already accomplished. There are underground cities in Africa, underground. Now, a lot of times people won't even be able to comprehend that. But our scientists, our mathematicians, our physicists, all of our intellectual people from the beginning of time, have accomplished much, and we still are accomplishing much, and we have much more to accomplish. One of the biggest things that we have to accomplish at this point is believing that we can accomplish, instead of buying into this skillful manipulation of our minds to think that we can. And once you take a man's mind, like it's been said about killing somebody, once you kill a man, you take away everything that he has, everything that he ever will have. And we're right in a heightened aware, there's always been, a large number of murders, especially by authority, so-called authority figures. But one person said the biggest difference at this point is the fact that it's being filmed. And when you actually see it, those 8 and something minutes with Brother George, it's graphic because you can actually see the knee on the neck. You can actually hear him say, "I can't breathe." And of course, this is old news to us because Brother Garner was saying the same thing, "I can't breathe." And to be able to muster up that type of hatred for another man, to just take his life willfully. They were talking about the lynching and how they were making postcards, and it would be an event, and it would be picnics, and they had little girls and little boys in the audience looking just like it was a big party. The death of a human being being turned into a celebration, a party. And this is some of the things that we're dealing with. We're still dealing with it on a regular basis. And how we fight is to fight. But we must fight. We must resist. We don't necessarily have to agree, but one person said one of the biggest mistakes we can make is not saying nothing. I think it was the Hollywood actress. She's a member of the royal family now, Meghan. She made that statement, which is true. And as long as you get in the habit of doing something, saying something, acting out, if there are missteps along the way, at least your effort was honorable. It was beneficial. We're really proud and honored to still be a part of this ongoing struggle. We do have 5 events every year. We're looking to expand. We're not gonna downsize. We're looking to be able to pass off things to our younger generation. It's very important that young brother like Emmanuel comes to the front and takes forth a leadership role. It's only natural.
God, I remember when they was
Good evening.
Can y'all just stand and give that a round of applause, please, for Brother Bill Peoples? I got teared up a little bit. I miss Brother Bill. Brother Bill was a giant in this community, and I miss him coming in through the front door. You always knew when the Umoja event was happening because Brother Bill would just coming through the front door. He'd sit down at my desk. "All right, Manuel, it's time. Here go the list. Just get it done." And I miss him. I truly miss him. I think the community misses Brother Bill and his wife. These events won't ever be the same, but we will definitely continue to try to, uplift his legacy. But okay, get the sadness out. I want to welcome everybody to this year's, Umoja Man of the Year. But we'll be honoring Brother Doug Ruffin Jr. But before we do that, though, I have to mind my manners and do the correct opening. I first would like to acknowledge the presence of a true and living God in this space right now, in this moment. God is real. He's in every one of us. And in everything we do, we want to acknowledge him. in everything I do, I continue to always acknowledge him because he is the reason I wake up. He is the reason I do what I do. We also want to acknowledge the presence of our ancestors. Our ancestors are us. They're us. All of them. All of your ancestors, all of my ancestors. We're all a family. They're us. Without them, we wouldn't be who we are. Without them, we wouldn't be here. And so we want to make sure in everything we do, at every Umoja event, at every Juneteenth, at every Kwanzaa, we acknowledge the presence of our ancestors. Sometimes we take for granted those who are with us. And I know for a lot of times, elders and the people who, transition to ancestors, you take for granted. You think you got all day with them. You think you got a lifetime with them. And I know a lot of times I took them for granted. So let's always not take for granted those who are, before us. And acknowledging our ancestors, I believe we do that. We don't take them for granted. Because just because they're not physically here doesn't mean they're not here in spirit. Brother Bill is sitting right here. He's sitting right here on this front seat with all of us because this is his legacy. And with that, we also have to acknowledge the presence of our elders. Our elders are our bridge. They're our library. They're the ones who keep the history alive. They're the ones who I like to say I'm a student. I get to sit down and just listen to them talk. And a lot of times that's what you got to do. You got to sit down and just let the elders talk. They are our wisdom. They keep me on the straight and narrow. I like to get outside the path sometimes, but my elders are the ones who keep me on the straight and narrow. And so with that, I think our elders, if you consider yourself an elder, can you please stand? I don't want to ask who the oldest person is, but if you consider yourself an elder, can you please stand? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Everybody in here, my elder. And with that, I will ask the elders for permission to begin. Ashe. Yeah, everybody in here, my elder. That's a real thing. I don't look. I count it as a blessing. That means I got to listen. I could talk less today. So I'm really thankful, and okay, I'm just trying to make sure I'm on the program. Right now, I'm going to bring up the director of the Master Resource Center, along with Brother Mark Fuller, to do our welcome and to have a few words. Round of applause for Sam Radford III, please.
Yeah, right there on the table. All right. Hotep. Good evening. All right, we can do a little bit better. Get a little bit more energy than that, y'all. Come on, Hotep. I said, that's it. When we talk about we emanate unshakable inner peace, I cannot tell you, all Brother Bill's events is just really my favorite events of the year. Because I know the history of it. I know that what it means when a black man starts something without checking with nobody, without getting nobody's permission, just doing it because he think it needs to be done for our community. And the fact that it's still going on is everything to me. So let me be in proper protocol, acknowledge the presence of a true and living God as well, acknowledge the ancestors, acknowledge the elders, request permission from the elders to begin. With permission from the elders to begin, two things I want to do while we're here. We want to talk about the legacy of Umoja, and there's no better person to talk about the legacy other than Mark Foley, the person that was there when it first started. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we take our responsibility. I thought Emmanuel did a good job of acknowledging Brother Bill as an ancestor. But we got to take, and every time we're in a setting like this, we have to remember that it's our responsibility to keep the names of our ancestors alive. And we all got some that we are personally responsible for keeping the names of alive. So, for example, we take responsibility for keeping the name of Brother Rafi Green alive. See Rafi picture there, the name of the building is Rafi. We take responsibility for that. I got an elder, Brother Iman, who, who I walk with every day for 20 years. And every time I look at my phone, that's the face that's there. I don't ever let that, God see him every day. My grandmother, Mary May Liza Coleman, taught me what it means to be loved. And so we all got somebody that we have to keep their name alive. So I want us to take a minute now, if we can, so we can do a living libation. If we can all think of somebody who you have personal responsibility to keep their name alive. And we're going to do a pour libation to them as we honor the presence of our ancestors. So if you have personal responsibility to keep a particular ancestor name alive, go ahead and call a name out right now. Ashe. Ashe. Keep calling the names, everybody. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Dr. Jonathan Daniels.
There you go. Ashe. 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 Yes, sir. Ashe. Yeah, look at all of y'all. See all these ancestors coming into space? They coming into space right now. There we go. Ashe. 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 And so, and to all the names of those who have been named and all those who are unnamed and all those who, died in the middle passages, we want to make sure we fulfill our responsibility for keeping their names alive. And we all say together, Ashe. All right. Having done that, you know a person have lived their life in a way that's meaningful if when they're not here physically anymore, we're still talking about them. You know what I'm saying? We're still talking about them. We talk about what they did. We talking about, what they stood for, what they started. To bring Brother Bill's picture up, and for those who noticed it, he was standing behind the same picture of, you couldn't tell the difference whether he was here today or was a couple years ago. But we want to make sure that we keep this legacy alive in many different ways. I'm going to ask Brother Mark, who was there at the very beginning, when Brother Bill decided in 2000 that he wanted to create the Umoja Incorporated. The person that was sitting next to him was Mark Fuller, first person that he recruited. The host the Umoja events was Mark Fuller. The person who was at the radio show when they started the Umoja radio show was Mark Fuller. So let's give a hand to Brother Mark Fuller as he talk about the legacy of Umoja.
Peace and love. One thing about Brother Bill was I met Brother Bill while I was running the Stop the Violence Coalition. We used to have conversations, and one day he said, I have an idea. He always tell me, I have an idea. And his first idea with me was a radio show. What he didn't know was I had a background in DJing and music. He didn't know none of that about me, but he asked me and his son to host it. And to this day, I believe it was one of the best radio shows ever on the radio in Buffalo, for real. Because he picked the guests. I interviewed them. I had nothing to do with the guests that he picked, but I interviewed them. And it became something in the community people waited to hear. We had women and men. So the Kareem Amin was one of our guests. But I remember that show being so powerful that we started getting calls from people from around the country because they wanted to know, how did we put this together? Because it was a public access type thing, but it went mainstream because the conversation that we would have with the individual we invited into the radio station was deep. From the Muslim brothers to the brother who owned a small business, to a sister who been a community activist all her life, just all different types of people. And this was Brother Bill's idea. And the only reason why that radio show stopped is because I got sick. That was the only reason. And I remember them trying to pick it up, but without that power between me and Brother Peoples, it just could not move any further because the realness wasn't there. But Brother Bill, I ride by the liquor store all the time. I stops in there to see his sons who have taken it over to make sure they're all right. But we would have our meetings in that liquor store about what was going to happen next. I would go behind that booth and he would tell me what's going to happen next, and we would conversate it. Then we would bring it back to the community because we used to have Stop the Violence Coalition meetings every Friday. And we would bring those items back to the community that way, and before you knew it, it was happening. And so those events that Brother Bill started, that still continues because of the power of Brother Sam. I'm gonna tell you, brother, you the one keeping it going. But I know that those events meant something to our community because I still get people talking about it. I still get people asking me, you know, how do you feel with Brother Bill being gone? I said, listen, Brother Bill put enough spirit in all of us. He put enough spirit in all of us to continue what we're doing, even after I got sick. And I remember him coming to the hospital and telling me everything was going to be all right. I remember that day, clear as day. I couldn't talk. I didn't have all my memories together, but I knew who he was when he walked through that door, because that was my man. Because we had a elder and a young brother relationship that people really could not understand. But it was the elder and brother peoples, the youth and me, that brought things to the community that was needed, and it still continues today because of Brother Sam. And I thank you, brother.
And I want to say that was part of Brother Bill's magic. He poured into young people. And it was very interesting to hear him say, you know, before he's pouring into Emmanuel. So it even went past me, went down to another generation. So we're honored to be able to continue the legacy of Umoja Incorporated. And that's our prayer. Our prayer is that we stay dedicated and we start pouring it into the generation after Emmanuel. So 50 years from now, the Umoja will grow and it will stay alive, and we will keep the name of Brother Bill alive and his vision alive. Because ultimately, he just wanted to make the community better than we found it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with somebody who want to make the community better than we found it. And there's no reason not to keep that alive. So I'm honored to continue in this legacy. Am I bringing up the next person? Okay, so with that, thank you. And I will see you again when we have the past honorees. Back to Emmanuel.
So moving on, I just want to acknowledge that my father talked about the ancestor who he carries. Actually, I carry him too. My name, Emmanuel, is his, right? His name is Brother Ayman Dawood. My name is made up of his name and my father's name, Ayman Samuel Emmanuel. So I not only carry it, he doesn't carry it, not only carries it on his phone, I carry it in my name, and now I'm a senior, so my son carries it too. So we keeping that legacy going. Just keeping that going. So hopefully his son carry it too. So Brother Ayman's name will never be forgotten and never be missed. With that being said, we're bringing up a very special guest. This sister, she started working here maybe 2 months ago. And when I tell you just talented, I mean, you know, you just meet those people who just good at everything they do, whether it's organizing, computer stuff, singing, everything she does, she just seemed to be so talented at it. And so we thought no better guest than to bring her. She's my coworker now. Her music name is Endure. I know her. I call her Nat. Her name Natalie, but her music name is Endure. She's gonna come and she's gonna sing an original song for us. And then after that, we're gonna come back and have more words. So with that, everybody give a round of applause to Sister Endure.
I'm not standing behind no podium. I gotta be able to see. So, how y'all feeling tonight? How y'all feeling? Yes, Ashe. I'm ready whenever you are, Brother Emmanuel. When he kissed me, I never knew he felt the way he did. For me, it's been since 96. I swear that because I didn't want to lose a friend, because I held inside my body. They say this be me because I didn't want it. So I could have saved ourselves a lot of time. You might have said you're looking so right. All that my attention cannot lose my mind. Knowing that it's going down tonight. Happy birthday to the set. You already know what's next. Now we're together for life. I'm free. Forgive me, y'all. I'm gonna go. I honor you. Let's go. Because I know this life is mine. That's why I'm free. What's on your breath? Me to me. Promise that you'll be my everything. Because of you, I am free. I am blessed because I'm free because of you. I switch up a little bit. I'm gonna sing this out. I ain't gonna go ahead and in honor of you. Because of you, I can sit there like it's so real. Because of you, I can truly say I want you. Oh yeah, I know it's a blessing to be with you, to be here tonight. Because we are honoring the Ruffin. I'm free. I'm free because of you. I hear the because I'm blessed. It's because of you. I feel no stress. I am free. I am loved. I am because of God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because of you.
Another special round of applause for Sister Endure. Now we're going to pause and take this moment to bring up some of our past honorees. We have a couple of them in the space. We want them to come up, just say a few words about kind of who they are, but also give Brother Doug Ruffin some encouraging words because he's now a part of you guys. He's now a part of the winners. He's been drafted to the Person of the Year team. So with that being said, we want to one of the first people we want to bring up is the Honorable Betty Jean Grant, who was a past Woman of the Year. So Betty Jean, you come have a few words.
Well, isn't this special? I was on the program. I just came from the theater downtown to see is it Woman King with Viola Hills. Very good movie. Go see it. Tuesday is $5 to see it. So please go see it. It's so inspiring. So I say, I'm supposed to be here at the Ruffin Green Center. Let's go by there. So I just came from downtown. I'm so happy. I didn't think it was too late to be here because I know how important this is. I won. At that time, they called it Man of the Year and Woman of the Year, and they rotated. 1 year was the Man of the Year, the next year was Woman of the Year. So I'm glad to see it's Person of the Year. We have evolved. And so I want to thank Mr. Ruffin for being that voice that's connected to our past, that connects us to what happened in Buffalo before I got here in 1970 and way beyond that. And so the History Channel and everything is much needed. But you know what? We're planning a Black museum. First person to reach out was Mr. Ruffin from Maryland. He said, I will be there and I'll help you. So I want to say we're going to be moving forward. Can I talk about the museum for 20 seconds? This money is going to be dedicated. April Baskin has $1 million already. It's seed money that we put aside in an independent account. Clip Bag has a committee that we formed. I formed in 2007, and he's been chairing ever since then, going from exhibit to exhibit and venues to venues. Finally, this year, 2022, the pandemic brought a lot of money to Buffalo, and sadly, the murder of those innocent individuals on Jefferson Avenue brought a lot of money to Buffalo. So we're going to pay tribute to those who lost their lives on Jefferson. But we're going to insist that there's a lasting memory and memorial dedicated to them, not just to them, but to the city of Buffalo. So hopefully when the museum is built, it's on the east side of Buffalo. Did y'all hear me? What I said? Did I say East Buffalo? I didn't say east side of Buffalo, okay? Okay, so we want to do that. And we'll be reaching out to you. I met today with Antoine Thompson, and he's very much involved, and we're trying to get surveyed. We want to involve the community, because I went to a exhibit in Buffalo off of Jefferson in a house, and I saw everything that I could want to see, need to see, connected with our history. They had chains, they had whips, they had pictures, they had statues 4,000 years old. This guy had been collecting for 40 years. He's got a collection. Our principal, Crystal Boland Barton, she passed on. She left an extensive collection, now of her private collection, but from McKinley High School, when she had the Black History Month every year in February. And I got a friend in Silver Creek, has a basement full of Black Americana. And we have other people like Enid Wright and Eva Doyle, hopefully Kareem Amin, have pieces that we can do. We have the startup of museum already. We have the will to do the museum. We have people like Mr. Person of the Year, Doug Ruffin, on board. We're meeting with the mayor October 5th. We're serious. And we're meeting with April Baskin, we're meeting with Rashid White and others, and we're meeting with the community. So when I'm on Facebook saying there's a meeting about talking about this museum, about planning it, let's do this. Because if we don't, then how can we explain how the Hispanic got one on Niagara Street, and they're about 1/10 of our population? So this is the year. The money's here, the will's here, the people will is here. Volunteers are ready and willing, so please join us. But I want to say congratulations to you. It is such an honor for me to be here, to stand alongside you who kept us connected to history, kept us connected when it wasn't Juneteenth, when it wasn't Kwanzaa, all year long. So thank you, Mr. Doug Ruffin, and congratulations.
Next up, we want to bring to the stage another Woman of the Year winner, Mother Karima Amin.
I hate standing behind the podium. I do. And I'll tell you why. I was telling stories at Klein Hand's Music Hall one year, and someone was below the stage taking pictures of me telling stories, which is what I do. And I was so proud to be on that stage, and I was having a good time doing what I love. And when the pictures came out, they looked like a box with a ball on top of it. And I thought, I will never stand behind the podium. But here I am today, standing behind the podium, standing on my tippy toes and all of that. But I'm really pleased to be here, and I'm really excited about honoring Mr. Doug Ruffin. Sometimes Mr. Doug Ruffin makes fun of me, and when he sees me, he says, "Brer Rabbit," like that's a funny thing. Brer Rabbit is not funny, okay, sir? Brer Rabbit is a very powerful personage in our African American oral tradition. So when I'm telling Brer Rabbit stories, I'm hoping that my audience, whether I've got children or adults, hope they're listening, because Brer Rabbit has got some stories to tell. And so every time Doug Ruffin sees me from this point forward, you better not say Brer Rabbit like it's a funny thing. It's not funny. I'm real pleased and feeling really good that you're getting this recognition at this time. I remember when you was just a little bitty boy taking pictures with a camera and doing good things. And I'm happy to see how you've grown. Burr Rabbit would be proud too. You've grown a lot since you were just a little bitty baby taking pictures around the neighborhood. And what you've done is very powerful in that you've kept us connected to our history. You've helped us to be connected with preserving, the importance of preserving our history. So much is forgotten, and unfortunately, so much has been forgotten. But because of the work that you've done, much of it will be remembered for a very, very long time. The work you've done has been outstanding. And I'll say something personal, how you've helped me and my husband, Baba Ing, with Prisoners Are People Too. I'm the executive director of Prisoners Are People Too. Baba is the program director. And Prisoners Are People Too has been in operation around Western New York and beyond for the last 17 years. Give that a round of applause. Thank you very much. I'm real proud of that because it was an idea, just an idea that has become an organization that has helped so many people behind the walls and beyond the walls. We've helped people on the inside, we've helped their families on the outside, and I'm really proud that we've been able to do this work, and we give all credit to the Supreme Creator, of course. It would not have happened if it were not for God, if it were not for Allah. It has happened for us for the last 17 years and for so many others. Doug Ruffin made a video that is on YouTube. It's been on YouTube for a long time about Prisoners Are People Too. And even after all these years, people still call me and say, I didn't know anything about Prisoners Are People Too, but while I was Googling, I happened to find you on YouTube. And what they saw was the video that Doug Ruffin did for us so many years ago that lets people know that the work is important and that it started with a germ of an idea. And people used to say, Cream, I don't know nothing about no prisons. And that was true. I didn't know anything about prisons or prisoners. But we've moved beyond that in 17 years. We've learned a lot and we have grown. And part of the reason why we have grown is because of your work. And we want to thank you for that videography and for the fact that you're a part of Buffalo's history. And we're really pleased that you're also a part of our history. We thank you. Ashe.
Ashe. Next up, we want to bring up a former Man of the Year winner, Brother Pat Freeman.
All protocols already given. I wanted to say to Sister Karima Amin, I always remind her, when I was a little boy, I used to wake up early in the morning on WBLK to hear you say Aesop's Fables. And that changed my life. And Brother Bill Peoples, the reason that he went from male to female is the African principle of balance, Ma'at. And he was a trailblazer. He was my friend, he was my brother. And this room has so much history in it. And you have done outstanding work. We've worked on many projects together over the years. But I'll tell you a quick story. The man is such a historian. He has such a collection of film. And we were just going through some build demonstrations. They were demonstrating in front of Buffalo General Hospital. And I don't know if many of you remember my father. I know Veronica does. And we were going through this film, and Bill Gator had his sign up walking around Buffalo General. And all of a sudden, I said, stop that film, brother. I said, you know, that's my father. Had on this old green coat that my mother hated for him to wear. But he was in med school then. But he was demonstrating for the rights of our people getting ineffective medical care. And I asked him, I said, brother, please let me have that snippet of video. Because when your elders go on to the ancestry, those things become precious. Precious. Brother Judson Price gave his life, literally almost lost his life fighting for our kids. And Brother Mark Fuller, the reason he got sick, he won't say that, but he knows why he got sick. In our community, comforting families, we destroying ourselves with the weaponry provided to us by our enemies. We have got to wake up. We have survived a pandemic. We've survived Donald Trump. And brothers like Doug Ruffin, we have to honor them. Because Brother Sam, in 100 years, they're going to have Sam standing there and the man next to you will be white if you don't protect history. They change the story, they change the names, and they orchestrate those things to their advantage. I don't disrespect anybody, but in closing, you're seeing all this hoopla about England, one of the most criminal countries on the face of the earth. They became empires all over the earth, over 2.5 billion people at the end of a sword and at the end of a gun. So my friend and brother, who's now an ancestor, I just think to myself what he would say. That was Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Now you know what he would say. Y'all talking about God rest the king? You know what he would say. And I agree. We have to protect history, and we have to continue doing this. And we must continue to honor those that chronicle our history. And Brother Doug Ruffin has done an outstanding job and continues to do that with the Buffalo History Channel, Brother Kamal, and others. Baba Ing, Sister Kareem Amin. I will never, ever stop praising you for when a little boy heard your voice over the radio waves, saying those stories is the reason I am who I am today. Thank you. And congratulations, Brother Doug Ruffin. I told you I'd be here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next up, we heard from him a little bit earlier, but he's also, not only was he one of the people who hosted Person of the Year, he also won the award. So you want to bring up a past Man of the Year, and that's Brother Mark Fuller.
Peace and love. You know, when this brother was just talking, I thought about Sister Karima, because I met Sister Karima in high school. And I still remember that play you gave that blew everybody's mind in the school. And that was when I was 15 years old. I'm 59 now. Still sticks in my head. That play you gave us at Performing Arts. Never seen anything like it, because the students you involved, the students that was involved in the whole process of the whole thing. And I have not seen nothing like that ever since in Buffalo. So thank you, Sister Karima. But Doug, me and Doug have had our we had one venture in business when you did the filming of us with the young folks at McKinney High School. Yep, stop the box. And that commercial, like she said, it's still on the air. It's still on the internet. It's still rolling around. And I'm like, I had black hair then. And I'm like, that's me. Don't make jail your home. Don't make jail your home. But we had brought the students of McKinney High School on the stage with us. And a lot of those students took that to heart. Don't make jail your home. Because when I would see them as grown folks, they was like, we still remember you from that thing at McKinney High School. And I'm like, that was Doug Ruffin. I don't remember how we got in touch with you. How it all came together. Okay, the radio station. Something I've been involved with all my life. But you know, Doug Ruffin, what I found out about Doug is his history of bringing the information to the community through the internet, through the video channels, through just giving us the information that, you know, when I first noticed it when you brought up your dad and Bill Peoples. I mean Bill Gator. Because Bill Gator gave me a spot to do things for the young folks at the IPE Hall, 1687 Main Street, which we took it to a whole nother level. I mean, we had students coming from every high school in the city of Buffalo. We had hotlines. We gave them something to do on the weekends. And the enemy was constantly trying to stop it. Constantly trying to stop it. But those young folks are grown today, and they still see me and thank me for that time they had in their life to be able to let their hair down, away from mom and dad, in a controlled atmosphere where we had security. Our security team is still working today behind the IPE Hall. A lot of those brothers are still working today, and they thank me all the time. The opportunity that we gave them to feed their families, to feed their children, and just to be involved in the community. But when I met Doug, and I seen what he was able to do with that history of bringing that information to the forefront, that inspired me, brother. Because you were bringing up people that I did business with. But the whole build organization thing with those individuals, that meant a lot to me. So I want to say thank you for what you've done and what you're still going to do, because you're not finished. I know you're still collecting film. I know you're still doing your research. But this brother's good at what he do. And we want to honor him today and saying, thank you, brother. You are Man of the Year.
Next up, she snuck in here. She didn't think I was going to catch her, but I caught you. We have a former Woman of the Year who's also my Kwanzaa coach here. We got Sister Carlonda Maydors.
Do I have permission for my elders to speak? Ashe. Yeah, I just told Brother Mary, I ain't sneaking because I knew I had to be here. I was at another event and I had to leave because you are just so honorable, and I would not want to miss this opportunity to give you your flowers. I definitely believe that when we have pioneers, icons, and people who do so much for us consistently, like that's just their life model of that, we need to take the time to honor them and tell them how we appreciate them while they're here, as opposed to when people pass and then name buildings after you, streets after you, and honor you. Like, no, I'm always happy to appreciate someone that's well-deserved. So as everyone know, I always take the person's name and come up with Brother Sam Love. Did you know this, don't you, Brother Sam? Because, and I don't even have to like think long and hard about it. I just take the person's name and whatever words that my spirit brings forth comes to mind, that's what I get. Because if a person is really doing the will of the Creator, of God, then it's not hard to come up with positive attributes and characteristics that they show. So for Doug Ruffin, for D, we have determined. Ever since I've known you, you've just always been doing something, always been working on something. I've never heard anyone or you say anything about giving up on whatever it is that you're working on. Like, just personally, never. So I would say determined. Oh, optimistic. You have always been positive. We work here and there. We see each other. We're always in the same circles. We don't know each other too much personally, But every conversation I've had with you, anytime I've seen you, you've always been optimistic and positive. You know, some people you go into, they just always have something negative to say. This brother here has always had something positive to say, no matter what the situation was. You would be for unique, because the things that you have done in the media is just like no other. I mean, it's iconic the way that you think and how you put things together. So I would say that you are very unique. G, generous. There's been plenty times that I have been at the Apollo or somewhere and needed help, and I could ask a whole bunch of people, and they would not stop what they were doing in the middle of a set, because y'all know how I am. When I want something, I want it done my way, right there, Johnny on the spot. And I have asked this brother times, and he would stop what he was doing to help me. And I mean, way back when Wolfville was on LaSalle Street, I believe it was. I was in, that's way, way back, right? You know, I'm that old. Like way back, and I was doing a show, I believe with Tafawa Hicks in the radio, and we had some things go wrong. No one could figure it out, and Doug was there. I don't even know if you remember this. Doug was there, like working a board or something, looking very busy, like he did not want to be disturbed. And I went there, I was like, I'm sorry, can you please just come here? I know you're busy, but I really need your help. And normally a person would do a sigh or look or say something. He turned around, he said, sure, no problem. What do you need? And came in. I think it took like 15, 20 minutes for him to figure it out. He got it done. But that is a sign of a person that's generous. Because, and I've seen you be generous with other people. If somebody need help, you have no problem helping them. This is a tough one. Because researcher is the first thing that came to mind, because I know you do extensive research, you know, as far as all of the work you've done with Build Academy. But I was like, radio, I can't have R and not have radio, because I've always told you, you have the perfect radio voice. And for all the work that you've done in media, but you just have the perfect radio voice. So R would be for researcher and radio. You, upright, because as far as I know, you've always been an honorable person that's been upright and consistent in the community for not what only you believe in, but what you stand on. And you've been very passionate about that. F, focus. Because to be able to do all these things and deal with media for over 10 years, you definitely got to be focused, because I'll be wanting to throw in the towel sometimes, right, Emmanuel? We be like, that's it, we done with this. But to have the type of focus that you have, you have to be focused to just be consistent the way that you have been with the things that you value in your life. F, fierce, because believe it or not, I have seen you get upset before. And when he's upset, he is like fiery and passionate, but still in a respectful manner. And so it's like, it's sort of funny, because it's like, I ain't know Doug could get upset. But you get upset, but in a fierce manner, like, okay, I'm going to say what I'm saying, and it is what it is. And he won the argument that I witnessed. So that's why I came up with fierce. I for intelligent, because we all can know one thing for sure. You're definitely very intelligent with how you create things, how you put it together, and just the way that you think, and how you just express. You know, a lot of times as an artist, we can see things, we can imagine it, but we can't convey the message for a person to feel what it is that we see. You have to be really intelligent to be able to hold and capture people's attention in a form of art that you do. Because we know Buffalo Public Access stuff, like, we put things on, it could be very drawn out and boring, but the stuff and pieces that you put in, I've actually sat and watched it for, like, rather it's 2-3 hours long, right, Fuller? You actually will sit there and watch the whole thing, and that is definitely speaks to your intelligence. And N, of course, being noble, because you're definitely a person that's worthy to be honored, and I'm happy to be here today to honor you. So congratulations on being 2022 Man of the Year.
And last but certainly not least, we have the Man of the Year. This is the first time I ever went to the event when he won, because obviously he's my father. So we have Brother Sam Bradford.
You know, like you, Mother Karima, whenever Doug sees me, he always say the same thing. He always say Kosciuszko. Now, people don't have no reason why he say Kosciuszko, right? But he say Kosciuszko because 20 years ago we was adamant about creating Africa Town. You know, it was all kind of, everybody had a community named after them. We wanted to create Africa Town. And one of the things that we wanted for Africa Town was we wanted the streets named. I said, why do we live on streets named Kosciuszko? You know what I'm saying? And so everything, I said, ain't no reason for us, all people who live on Kosciuszko are black. Why are we calling it Kosciuszko? And so every time he say Kosciuszko! Yeah. So, and you know what's interesting about that is that we were screaming to get the street names changed. They pacified us. At the time, I thought it was a victory. They pacified us because they renamed some of the streets. The first one, I think, was Michigan. They renamed it Harriet Tubman Way. And we thought we won a victory because they put these route designation signs. But that was because I was young. I didn't know people just do stuff to pacify you, right? Because they said it's difficult to change the name of a street because the post office and all the stuff that's involved with it. Because, you know, you get a route designation, that's nice, but we should have Harriet Tubman Way where Michigan is at. Right now, Fillmore is technically not Fillmore anymore. That name has been changed to Black Lives Matter Way. But it got changed. It got legally changed, you know what I'm saying? Because Fillmore, just like they took Fillmore off the name of the University of Buffalo, Fillmore, you know, people know the true history of Miller Fillmore, so they started taking his name off everything. The Common Council voted to change it to Black Lives Matter Way. But here's the point I'm making. They did that. We'll forget the route designation sign will come down, and then people will call it Fillmore. They'll call it Michigan. They won't put the names on there, so we got to take it up a step further. But thank you for reminding me always that we got to keep that fight going. I'm going to tell you the video that had the most impact on me that Doug Ruffin did was, obviously we've been advocating in the space of education for a long time. But I saw, and it's interesting because Mother Hattie Pascal calls the show every week now. You'll see she calls our radio show every week. But I saw this video where the Build organization was protesting at the Board of Education. And it had a huge impact on me because this video was from like 1969, 1970. And this was 1999 or something like that. And we were at the same, literally at the same podium in the same Board of Education. And it blew my mind because we were saying the same thing. And I said, wow, that's the importance of history. That's the important history, because we thought we fighting this battle new. We didn't realize that people had already fought this battle. That is the reason why what you do is so important, so that the young people can build on what we are doing as opposed to starting fresh, starting new, thinking we're the first ones to fight a battle. Another thing that I'm really proud of you about, and I want to say this because I think one of the most important things we can do for our children is make your name mean something and matter, so that when they come anywhere and they say their name, if you live the life as their parent or their grandparent and you left a quality name and you ask your children to live up to that name, Doug, you have a wonderful family. Both your mother and your father have made contributions to this community before you got here. I want to honor the President Doug Ruffin Sr., you know what I'm saying, his mother, Doug Ruffin, who have made a mark in this community. They had a name, and he came behind that, and he added value to the family name. That's how we got to raise our children. We got to say, we out here making a difference in the community, and you need to step up and you need to build on that. And we used to matter what your family name was. You know, when you say you were somebody, and I'm proud of the fact that you make the Ruffin name continue to mean something in this town. Congratulations for Leader Man of the Year, and we couldn't.
That ends our former speakers, our former winners. I don't want to get in trouble when I get home, so I got to make sure I acknowledge that my wife is here, Sierra. When you married, you know what that means. You got to make sure you always acknowledge your wife because you don't want to get. You know, Brother Mark, yeah, you learn that lesson quick. You don't make that mistake twice. So yeah, thank you for my wife. I want to now open the podium for anybody who is friends or family of Doug who want to just come and have words. We got about 10 minutes to play with on that. So I'll open the podium if anybody wants to come speak, say some kind words about Doug. The podium is open. Bobby, you coming? Okay.
Yeah, blessed love, family. I remember Doug, and I remember Jet Set Productions, and the Jet Set has taken off and risen to higher levels, and you have really touched on a right nerve when you came up with the Buffalo History Channel. Thank you for what you do. Keep on rising higher and higher. Ashe.
Yeah, you take your time.
It's been about 2 years trying to get a market. Some people thought it was just useless. You can't do it. We weren't necessarily going to run the market. We tried to find a voice that would operate the market in our community. So
I'll say. Any other remarks?
I just wanted to say thank you for all that you've done. I know you very little, but I see a lot of people in the room that I respect tremendously. And I see the impact you have on them. And it inspires me. I hear that you use media. I want to go and check it out because I hear that you've impacted people to do the right things and have an understanding of our history. And currently there's an issue with the lack of a CBA, Community Benefits Agreement, that the bills have yet to sign and support our community. And I would like, you've inspired me just from the way you've impacted these people to see what I could do to use video to hold them accountable and to push them to do more to support our community than just to show up because of something for PR. So thank you, because I'm inspired.
As y'all know, I'm always an entertainer, so I've always saw Doug Ruffin at every event that I've entertained, always being the photographer, always dedicated,
willing to listen and to hear and to be there for people. Also, too, I want to keep on encouraging you to keep doing what you do, because I actually watched your film on the history of Buffalo. I watched it on YouTube, and I had a pleasure of sharing it on my page, too. So if you go onto my page, Endure the Movement blog, you'll see that I shared your video as well. So I want to encourage you to keep on doing what you're doing. You are inspirational, and you inspire me to continue on in my photography and my film as well. So I thank you so much for being you.
All right, and without further ado, the reason why we're here is to honor Douglas Ruffin Jr. So I'm gonna just read a little bit of his bio. I didn't know his name was Douglas Ruffin Jr. neither. Douglas Russell Ruffin Jr. was born in Buffalo, New York on September 10th, 1971. He just recently celebrated a birthday. To Donette and Douglas Ruffin Sr. Doug attended the Build Academy from 1976 to 1984, a 1989 graduate of Bennett High School, a 1993 graduate of the New York Institute of Technology with a bachelor's degree in communication arts, and a 2006 graduate of ITT Technical Institute with an associate's degree in multimedia. Doug began his media career in the city of Buffalo, New York in 1994, working with various local television stations such as WNED-TV, PBS affiliate, WIVB-TV, and Empire Sports Network. He was also the director of operations for the local public access television station. In April of 2000, Doug made a smooth transition to radio, becoming an on-air personality at 93.7 WBOK, where for 4 years he would host such shows as The Quiet Storm, Jazz Flavors, and the Gospel Inspiration Hour. On September 9th, 2004, Doug was inducted to the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame. In 1997, Doug produced and directed his first documentary film, Build, of the community and for the community, which focuses on the 15-year history of the Build organization. The film was the recipient of the William Wells Brown Award from the Afro-American Historical Association of the Niagara Frontier. He has since produced a number of other documentaries such as Motto City, The Buffalonians, The Waitress of Dan Montgomery's, and Yielding to the Spirit, a history of St. John's Baptist Church. These are all local documentaries on the history of Buffalo, New York's African-American influential in the scope of current program on both the public and government access channel in 2002. Did I skip something? Dang, flow right. All right, then. In 2002, Doug established the Community Media Project, a media literacy program for youth where they learn to produce and direct their own documentary projects. Doug Ruffin has always been active in various organizations such as Juneteenth Festival, the Dr. Martin Luther King Student Awareness Tour, the Afro-American Historical Association, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, the Prince Hall Masons, and Shriners. Today, Doug Ruffin is the owner of Doug Ruffin Enterprises Multimedia Development, formerly known as Jet Set Entertainment, the co-host of Upfront Magazine, a program committed to showcasing positive images of the African American community, which is produced by the Western New York Minority Media Professionals, which Doug also serves as a board member. Doug Ruffin is also the curator of the community's Images Multimedia Exhibit, an innovative historical exhibit of Buffalo's African American community consisting of photographs, videos, films, and documentaries. Doug is currently an on-air personality at Waffle 1080 AM. So without further ado, can we all give a round of applause as we award 2022 Man of the Year, Doug Ruffin Jr. Say a few words.
Certainly. Good evening, Buffalo, New York. I'd like to first give honor to thank Umoja Incorporated for the honor of this award. Also, I'd like to give honor to the family and the memory of Brother William Peoples. I can remember his establishment, the Bus Stop Deli, which was, I grew up in the neighborhood where his establishment was. I lived a few streets down over on, in the East Ferry area, lived on Northumberland, between East Ferry and Scajaquada. His was among a number of Black-owned corner stores that were in our community. There was his store, the Bus Stop Deli. There was Mr. Thomas Reed's store. There was Jim's Deli, which was at the corner of my street, Northumberland. And of course, last but certainly not least, Betty Jean Grant and Grant's Variety Store was also still there, still in my old neighborhood. I try to stop by anytime I'm in town. We used to go to, when I was a kid, we used to go to the different stores for different pieces of candy. So that's my biggest memory of that. As I was thinking about, I was on vacation and thinking about what I would say in my acceptance speech. And I was thinking back to many of the interviews that I've done, and I've always talked about the same things over and over again. I've talked about the documentaries and being on the radio, and I figured everybody pretty much knows about that at this point. I want to talk about something and share something that, a part of my career, that I've really not made any mention of, but I want to give it some acknowledgement because it provided the road to where we are tonight. And I want to acknowledge the early part of my career. And that's, as well as how it paved the road for not just where we're at tonight, but how I progressed through it. I spent 28 years working professionally in the Buffalo media, not just in the black media, but within the mainstream local media as well, through many of the outlets. Channel 7, Channel 17 PBS, WIVB Channel 4, Empire Sports Network, which was my first full-time job, YNN Buffalo, you know it today as Spectrum News, WNYO WUTV Channel 29. On the radio side, I cracked the mic, yes, at the two black heritage stations, 93.7 WBLK and 1080 AM WUFO. You know it today as Power 96.5 FM. And as a sidebar, because I've heard a lot of this over the years and it's always surprised me, my career did not begin in radio. It actually began in television. Now, on the independent side, I worked for public access. I contracted with the Buffalo Board of Education, as well as the Western New York AmeriCorps program. I ran my own production companies, Urban Legacy Filmworks in 2007, and before that, Jet Set Entertainment in the 1990s. I've produced documentaries, commercials, television, and radio shows. I've hosted many events, and in present day, I created a social media platform by now, I'm sure you all know, as the Buffalo History Channel. My career in media started in April of 1994. My initial intent was to have a career in commercial production and television programming. I wanted to be the one to kind of make the decisions on what would go over the airwaves. Overall, that never exactly happened, yet I can certainly say that I certainly paid my dues in the industry. And on that side of it, my entry certainly did not come easy. Starting out after coming home from college, what I first had to do was make a pest out of myself by constantly calling those TV stations on the phone, asking if they had any openings. That went on for months before I would finally get my foot in the door in the spring of 1994. And from there, I would go from outlet to outlet seeking new opportunities and growth. The landscape of the Buffalo media at that time was much different from where it stands today. Not only were opportunities few and far between, they were not very welcoming to young people fresh off the college graduation line, or as some of them called it, the puppy mill. I can remember being told that I won't last long in this business. The part-time jobs that I had, I was told that there was no hope of me ever going full-time. And also, I can distinctly remember being told I should have done a double major in college. On the black hand side, you were hard-pressed to see any of us in any great numbers. There were about at best 3 to 4 of us, but we were in different departments, on different floors, and hardly came into contact with one another. And in my case, during those years, it didn't leave a lot of room for me to really be mentored or be taken under anyone's wing. Those waters I had to navigate on my own. And in a few cases, I can remember I was the only black, not just in a department. In one employer, I was the only black in the building. And in addition to that, learning to function in those work environments as a young black professional in the 1990s, in the midst of the then current events of that time, the O.J. Simpson trial and the Million Man March, it was truly a test of one's will. And I have to give honor to my dad and as he used to run the Clarkson Center for Human Services for those job survival skills classes that he made me sit through. They definitely came in handy because I was young and in my 20s and pretty well into my pro-blackness back then. But I also realized that I had to play the game if I was trying to get ahead in my career. So I kind of had to do a balancing act, which was not always easy, but I got through it by the grace of God. Also, this was a time that predated the internet and social media. You know, today, you're just thinking in terms of today, the ability to just create your own platforms back then was not the easiest thing to do. We had public access, but it was, Brother Kamal will let you know, it was, you had to put in some work because resources were severely limited. There was a time when all these cameras, there was a time you couldn't even come and get within 5 feet of a camera. And a lot of that stuff would almost, even edit video in your house was, that stuff would cost more than your house back in them days. So things were not always as accessible. Now, that part of it, I'm going to get off of it and leave it right there. And I want to go into the other part of my career because I want to just give you, I don't want to be long, but I'm going to give you some snapshots and some broad strokes of the road that I traveled throughout my almost 30-year career. As I came up in the industry and I learned to shoot and edit video, and what's most important to getting ahead in this business is learning how to write. It enhanced my flair for creativity. You know, as a people throughout the 1990s, if you remember, we were really into the positive promotion and programming of Black images. And I wanted to look for ways in which I could coin that. You know, I consumed a lot of television growing up as well as in that day. And it led me to become involved with the public access station. And I had previously come through public access when I was in high school under the auspices of Sonship Communications, BPAC, the Buffalo Public Access Center, 1420 Main Street. I also hung out at that time with the people from the Buffalo Beat program that was at Channel 7. And, you know, both entities were very active in the community. They were filming various events from the Juneteenth festivals to the Randy Smith basketball tournaments, the various rites of passage programs that used to take place and still take place, as well as the all-high football games and basketball games. As I said, I watched a lot of TV back in that day. In particular, this was also during the Cosby era, the Different World era. Black movies and Black directors were starting to come into play. And there was also Black TV dramas. And it was also a huge focus on Black history. And that really, Black history became my primary focus. I produced a television show focusing on the history of the Black Panther Party in November of 1994. After that aired, my father and a friend of his, the late John E. Smith from the Buffalo Black Media Coalition, yes, suggested to me that I should do a project on the history of the BUILD organization. That is how the idea for the BUILD documentary series came about. After I did that BUILD film series in 1997, there were so many different things that began to take place as we moved into the next millennium. From the advent of local Black filmmaking, which Buffalo is now giving way to an entire film industry now. To a greater expanded interest in telling Buffalo's Black history in so many different forms on so many different levels over the years. I'm not going to sit here and claim that it all started with me because there were many that came before me. Sonship Communications, the late Dr. Monroe Fordham, Dr. Eva Doyle, and a very good friend of mine, my brother in historical documentation and preservation, Brother Kevin Cottrell. The dearest thing to me throughout my career has been storytelling and telling the story of my community. The Buffalo History Channel affords me the opportunity to do that. The advent of social media platforms enables me now to expand on that in ways that I never thought I would have the chance to do before. So throughout the efforts of that Buffalo History Channel and telling the stories of the Black Dance Workshop, of Ambrose Lane, of Model Cities, Scotty's Steakhouse, John Young's Mumbo Wings, Figmo's, and so many more that can be seen on that platform today, all at one's fingertips, anytime they want. The Buffalo History Channel, I can say here, at almost 30 years in the game, has been one of the greatest efforts of my career. And as I now land the plane on this acceptance speech in commemoration of my 28th year in the years that I have worked to get to this point and the work that continues, I am honored and humbled to receive this Man of the Year award from Umoja Incorporated in Buffalo, New York. Thank you, and God bless.
Can we have all the previous award winners come up here so we can put them together?
Let's do it over here, in this corner here, in this corner. And with that being said, can we all stand for a word of prayer as we move to close? Also, we have food for everybody, so before you leave, please stop by, grab you something to eat on your way out. Oh, all right. Again, we want to just give Brother Doug Ruffin another round of applause on being the 22 Man of the Year. All right, as we close. God, thank you for this event. Thank you for the time we spent together in honoring your servant, Brother Doug. I ask that you continue to protect us, continue to cover us. Watch us as we leave this building. I pray safe passage for everybody, that they find their homes the way they left them. I pray over the food that we're about to receive, let it be nourishment to our bodies. Let us gather here again next year, honoring the next person of the year in your name. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.